So it's important, make sure, is Dr. Fauci just a medical man who happened to be trained by the Jesuits, or does the Jesuit thinking permeate his mind?
Yes.
Maybe even more than we think. Let's see.
The Jesuits taught you high school, college, Holy Cross,
right.
Regis High School in Manhattan. What impact, what does it mean to be taught by Jesuits? We hear about Jesuits all the time.
Well, it's a great experience, I have to say. They combine intense intellectualism with discipline, not in the sense of, smacking you around, but intellectual rigor, discipline in how you handle yourself as a person, as a human being. And they have a general motto of, and I think this had a major influence on me and what I did, is the issue of service to others. That's very big. That doesn't mean that people who don't go into public service are doing anything lesser with their lives, but they tend to have I wouldn't say a pushing, but a leaning towards something about what you do is public service. Either everything you do, which turned out what I did by going into public service, or at least a part of your life. So it was an interesting combination of concern for mankind as well as a good intellectual rigor.
When did you want to be a doctor? Can you remember the time?
I think it was early high school. I'm very interested in people. I'm very much of a people person, and probably as part of the Jesuit training, which was very steeped in the classics and the humanities. So when I went to Regis High School, we took 4 years of Greek, 4 years of Latin, a Romance language, and ancient history and things like that. When I went to Holy Cross, which is another Jesuit school as a college, I took kind of a hybrid pre-med course. It was called, it's almost an oxymoron, it was called AB Greek Classics Pre-Med. So you were majoring in the humanities and the classics with a lot of philosophy, but you took enough science to get into medical school. And the idea about when I wanted to become a doctor, I liked science, I liked discovery, I liked the challenges of science, but I also so much liked mankind and the humanities that it was just a natural fit. That where do you put science and people in the same bucket? And to me, that was medicine.
Who was an early mentor?
Probably some of the very young Jesuits in Regis High School. In the Jesuit training, it's a long, long training before you become a Jesuit priest. And back then they had what's called scholastics, were people who weren't yet ordained as priests, but they dressed with the garb of a priest, and they taught in the high school. And there were a couple of those scholastics who had a major impact on me. Just great people, highly intellectual and highly nurturing of you and what you wanted to do.
I mean, he even made speeches for different Jesuit colleges encouraging the students. So let's look at the next one and see what he has to say there to the students.
I had the good fortune to graduate from Regis High School in 1958. I often say it was the best educational experience I could have imagined. I became immersed in the intellectual rigor of a Jesuit education. Importantly, certain tenets of the Jesuit tradition have sustained me throughout my life and career. Two of these, precision of thought and economy of expression, inform how I think, how I write, and how I communicate with the public every day, especially during the present unsettling times. Just as important, however, is the Jesuit emphasis on social justice and service to others. And now is the time, if ever there was one, for us to care selflessly about one another. And so congratulations on your graduation. Stay safe and be well as you celebrate this important milestone of your life. I wish you all the best in the years ahead.
So Dr. Fauci seems to be steeped in Jesuit thinking, Jesuit philosophy, Jesuit thinking on social justice, which is the Roman Catholic system of control. Mm-hmm. And we must never forget that these formidable foes of the gospel will do anything under the garb of Christianity, including showing a great concern for mankind in order to further the ends of the papacy.
Yes.
And this is a very important issue. And I have a serious problem when it comes to this philosophy, because it has been designated over the centuries as the enemy of the gospel. Mm-hmm.